Narayana namaskritya Naray chaiva narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nasta Prayesva Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Nastiki Vede Ramayane Chaiva Purane Bharati Tata Hado Adyanchama Dhecha Hari Savatya Giyati Mukam Karuchva Chalam Prangulam Garate Gri Yakripataham Vande Sri Gurudinatarine Paramananda Madhuva Dhamma Pujita Kadavotra Paramoni Masam Satam Vedan Vastavam Matavastu Shivadam Tapatayo Mulanam Shima Bhagavate Mahamani Kritinki Vaipara Ishwara Sadiorudi Abarude Tre Kitapita Kṛṣṇam Yashava Shamana Yang Kṛṣṇa Paramapurushe Bhakti Utpade Pumsansuka Mohabhaya Paha Atoyam Brahmasutranam Bharatata Bininaya Gayati Basaruposho Vidata Paribhimita Sabhaviditi Asanam Saram Saram Paribhimita Sabhavidantam Saram He Sri Bhagavatam Mishyate Tarashamitasya Tiptasya Nayata Sharati Kuchit Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are continuing reading a story actually from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 20. This is the descriptions of the rainy season and autumn season. So text 42, right? So we read text 42. Today is going to be text 42 and text 43. Text 42 has no purports, and text 43 has very little purport. But we have Srila Prabhupada's commentary on these verses, which I'm going to use for the class. Sarada Sujam Stapam Bhutana Udupo Haharat Daya Bhimana Jambhodho Mukundo Brajayo Cittam Śarat artha of the autumn sun, Hamsu from the race, Jan generated, Tapan suffering, Bhutanam of all creatures, Udupaha, the moon, Aharat, has taken away, Deha, with the material body, Abhimanjam, based on false identification, Bodhaha, wisdom, Mukundaha, Lord Kṛṣṇa, Brajayo Cittam, of the women of Vrindavan. Translation and purport by Divine Grace. No, sorry, by Srila Prabhupada disciples. We are used to translation and purport by Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. But that is up to the 10th canto, the end of chapter 13. Then from there, the disciples take over after Srila Prabhupada's disappearance. The autumn moon relieved all creatures of the suffering caused by the sun's rays, just as wisdom relieves a person of the misery caused by his identifying with his material body. And as Lord Mukunda relieves Vrindavan's ladies of the distress caused by their separation from him. Text 43. Kham aśobhata nirmegham śarad-vimala-tārakam sattva-yuktam yathā cittaṁ śabda-brahmārtha-darśanam. Translation and purport. Free of clouds and filled with clearly visible stars, the autumn sky shone brilliantly, just like the spiritual consciousness of one who has directly experienced the purport of the Vedic literatures, of the Vedic scriptures. Purport. The clear and starry autumn sky can also be compared to the pure heart of the devotee. The spiritual nature is always brilliant, clean, and blissful, and this spiritual nature, called vaikuṇṭha, immediately satisfies all the desires of the soul. This is the secret of Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Again, Timindasya Gananganan Salakaya Chakshushmita Yinatasma Shri Gurave Nama Cittaṁ Manobhistan Stapita Yina Bhuttali Swainrupakada Mayan Dadati Swamparantikan Namamu Vishnupadaya Kṛṣṇa Pistaya Bhuttali Srimati Bhakti-Vedanta Swamiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nebhisesa Sunyavadi Paschati Dishtarine Vancha Kapatarubhyas Chakrapa Suni Bevacha Patitana Pavanavibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. So I thank everyone for being here this morning for the Srimad Bhagavatam class, especially to senior devotee. So we continue the descriptions of the rainy and autumn seasons. Now we know that the monsoon is about to begin. We had some little rain this morning. Hopefully this will continue. Hopefully, otherwise Vrindavan is known for not having too much rain. Maybe this year will be different. So this description is full of lessons in terms of the application to the living entities, consciousness, and this application, these descriptions of the rainy and autumn season, which is it's like a preparation, because Sukata Goswami is preparing us on how to enter into intimate aspect of Krishna Lila. For example, this chapter here, chapter 20, describing how the consciousness become clear, the clearing of the consciousness. And unless the consciousness is clear, one cannot enter Krishna Lila. Now from chapter 21, which is the next chapter onwards, this is the description of the Venu-Gita, when the gopis, when they started describing Lord Krishna's flute, they are describing the various elements of Vrindavan, how they are so fortunate because they are having intimate association of Lord Krishna. So this expression of the gopis is not something that can be understood if one has a polluted mind. The polluted mind cannot understand Lord Krishna's lila, Lord Krishna's pastimes, unless the consciousness is very, very pure. Otherwise, how can one understand that yes, Krishna is dancing in the middle of the night with the gopis, and these gopis happen to be somebody else's wives? How can one understand that? And even though yes, there are chants that have described that actually these gopis, they are Krishna's own internal energy, and the gopis, especially headed by Srimati Radharani, they belong only to Krishna. Their so-called husband never touches them. They belong only to Krishna. But in order to enhance Lord Krishna's pastimes, lila, then the so-called husband of the gopis were created. But these descriptions cannot be understood unless we are of pure mind. We are of pure mind. Just like Srila Prabhupada was in one lecture, he was saying how one person, whenever he hear Srimati Radharani, you only think of his wife, Radharani. So pure consciousness is required. And that's why we have this process of Krishna consciousness. This process, which has been given to us by Srila Prabhupada, is a cleansing process. Chaitodapa-marjanam, which is the cleansing process. And when the heart is cleansed, then one can understand one's own true relationship with Krishna. So this text number 42, which is it says sarat arkansagyan stapan bhutanam udipu haharat deha bimana jambhodo mukunda brajayo cittam. The translation being, the autumn moon relieved all creatures of the suffering caused by the sun's rays, just as wisdom relieves a person of the misery caused by his identifying with his material body, and as Lord Mukunda relieves Vrindavan ladies of the distress caused by their separation from him. So two similes were given here. Two simile were given here. A person's relief from the sun rays, which is very, very hot in the daytime, and by the appearance of the moon, it becomes very cooling at night time. So in this way, the comparison is being given here of when someone receives knowledge, then all the sufferings of material existence, it vanishes. And also the comparison is given to the Vrindavan ladies, the Brajavasi, when they feel so much separation, when Krishna go to the forest in the daytime with his friends, so all the Brajavasis, they are feeling so much separation from him. And then when Krishna returns in the evening, they become very, very relieved because they're able to have his association again. So this is the Srila Prabhupada's purport to this verse. This is from the Light of the Bhagavad. You have Light of the Bhagavad there. You can, if you have Vedabase, you can open vedabase.io if you have a smartphone. Vedabase.io. So you will see in all the books, you will see the Light of the Bhagavad there. So Srila Prabhupada so kindly, even though this purport was written in 1962, this commentary was written in 1962, because Srila Prabhupada was supposed to go to Japan to present the the Vedic scriptures. So Srila Prabhupada was supposed to present a paper, and he selected, the most beautiful aspect of the Bhagavad descriptions, which is the description of the rainy and autumn season. So Srila Prabhupada wrote a commentary on this. So it's very, very beautiful description. So that's the text number 40. If you have the book with you, text number 40. So I read it here. This is Srila Prabhupada. For Srila Prabhupada, I give a very, a much more brighter translation to this text. Same text that we are reading, but Srila Prabhupada give a very much clearer translation. So Srila Prabhupada said, in the clear autumn sky, the twinkling stars appear brighter and brighter. Just like a transcendentalist, clear vision of the purpose of the Vedas. Just like a transcendentalist, clear vision of the purpose of the Vedas. So that's number text 40. You'll have it, okay. So commentary. It is said that the import of the Vedas becomes clear to one who is not only a sincere devotee of the Lord, but also a sincere servitor of the spiritual master. The spiritual master knows the purpose of the Vedas, practices it personally, and teaches the disciple of the true light of the Vedas. The supreme spiritual master, Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa, teaches us the import of the Vedas in the following verse of Bhagavad-Gita 15:16. Dvayamo purusho loke aksharas cha akshara evacha ksharha savani bhutanim kutoshto akshara uchite. The Lord says that in the Vedas it is mentioned that there are two kinds of living beings, called the fallible and the infallible. Those living beings who are materially engaged are all fallible, whereas those who are not conditioned and who are eternally situated in the spiritual realm are called akshara or infallible. The Lord then says, Uttamam Purushatvam Yaha Paramatmeti Udaritaha Yoloka Trayan Navishya Vibhati Abhyaya Ishwara. Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Lord Himself, who has entered into these worlds and is maintaining them. Then, Yasmaksharam atitwaham aksharar apichotaman atosmi loke vedecha pratita purushottamaha. And because I, Lord Kṛṣṇa, am transcendental to all of them, even those who are infallible, I am known in all the Vedas and histories, the Puranas, Mahabharata, Ramayana, etc., as the absolute supreme personality of Godhead. This is from the Bhagavad-Gita chapter 15, text 17 to 18. The import of the Vedas is still more explicitly explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. The conclusion of the Vedic literatures is that Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa is the primeval Lord and the cause of all causes. He has his eternal two-armed form as Shyamasundar, with features exactly like those of a most beautiful young man. And that is the sum and substance of the Vedas concerning God. Actually, did I read Actually, I didn't read the previous. I read the text 40, which is the text number, the one that's applicable to text 42, so this will be text 39. So I'm going to read text 39. Okay, anyway, I just finished reading this one. The living entities are never equal to God, but as part and parcels of the Lord, they are eternally His servitors. As Lord, as the living entities are situated normally as His servitors, they are happy. Otherwise, they are always unhappy. Okay, let me see. I don't have the internet here. Because I'm reading from the, let me just, 1 second. I should read the text 39 first, which is the, sorry for that. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Okay. Text 39. So text 39 is what corresponds to the text 42 here. So in the autumn, there is a gulf of difference between the day and the night. During the day, the extreme heat of the sun is unbearable, but at night, the moonlight is extremely soothing and refreshing. Similarly, Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa is soothing for both the gopis and the mundane man in illusion who accepts the body as the soul. Then purport, commentary. As long as the living being under the illusion accepts the body or the mind as the soul, he will always be unhappy, like a man in the burning heat of autumn. But when the same living being becomes a devotee of the Lord, of the Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa, the personality of Godhead, he at once lives a soothing life, as if under the cooling rays of the moon in autumn. Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa is so merciful that he descends to reclaim suffering humanity and preaches Bhagavad-Gita with the intense desire that all living beings give up all of their engagements and take shelter of his lotus feet. This is the most confidential part of all revealed scriptures. The example of the damsels of Vrindavan, Vrindavan, the gopis, is given here because these eternal consorts of the Lord terribly suffered the separation of Lord Kṛṣṇa when the Lord was absent from their presence for his engagement in tending the cows in the forest. During the absence of Kṛṣṇa, the entire day will appear to the gopis to be as unbearable as a hot day in autumn. The Lord so much appreciated this natural feeling of the gopis that he declared his inability to repay their intense love. Lord Chaitanya recommended the feeling of the gopis as the highest mode of worship that can be rendered to the Lord. The conclusion is that the regular practice of bhakti-yoga will lead the devotee to the place of intense love for the Lord. And that is the single qualification by which the conditioned soul is allowed to re-enter the eternal life of bliss in the kingdom of God. The threefold miseries of material existence are at once nullified by intense love of God, which is the ultimate goal of cultivating the human spirit. Just like at the end of the short purport in the text 43 by the translator put here, whereby they compare this the freedom, the spiritual nature to be vaikuṇṭha. Vaikuṇṭha means no anxiety. Kuṇṭha means anxiety, and vaikuṇṭha means no anxiety. So basically, when one engages in the devotional service of the Lord, all the trouble goes away. So when they mention that the moon, the appearance of the moon in the evening, we brings the cooling rays, so that gives relief from all the sufferings that one has been undergoing during the daytime, when there is very, very hot in the daytime. So this simile or this comparison has been given that when one receives spiritual knowledge, when there's a spiritual knowledge received, or when there is engagement in the devotional service of the Lord, then all the sufferings of material existence goes away. So Lord Kṛṣṇa is called Chandrama, because Lord Kṛṣṇa appear in the dynasty of the moon. He come in the dynasty of the moon dynasty. So which means the appearance of Lord Kṛṣṇa brings auspiciousness to all around. So Lord Kṛṣṇa came, he performed so many pastimes, and by which the living entities, they become attracted, and by such attraction to Krishna's pastime, which he performed here, then one's attachment to the material world can go away, because the cause of bondage is due to our attraction to material existence, to the material world. So that bondage can be removed only if one becomes attracted to Lord Kṛṣṇa. So the Lord is so merciful that not only does he come and gives and performs so many wonderful pastimes, but he also he also give us the teaching. He gave his teachings in the form of Bhagavad-Gita, by which, by taking advantage of these teachings, then we can be relieved. By taking advantage of the teaching, all those calamities that is in the heart will go away just by taking advantage of the teachings of Lord Kṛṣṇa. So Kṛṣṇa said, it is sattva-yuktaṁ mamikam saradam braja ahantam savapabhibhyo, that surrender unto me, give up all kind of religious conception, just surrender unto me, and I will give you relief from all kinds of pipe or any kind of materialistic existence. I will give you relief for all the reactions. Just become my devotee. But before the Lord gave this last instruction to Arjuna, he also gave varieties of knowledge, from all kind of knowledge which he gave in the Bhagavad-Gita from the first chapter, second chapter, when he said that, my dear Arjuna, you are not this body, you are a spirit soul. We are always existing. So the Lord gave all this teaching. Then he talked about karma yoga. They talk of bhakti-yoga, jnana yoga. Then he talks about varieties of yoga. Then he talks about the mentality of his devotees. So at the end of all the instruction, now not just that, he also described the differences between material and spiritual world. That one is always there, one is always self-illuminated, whereas this material world is not like that. Then the Lord said, okay, when one goes there, one does not come down. It's a place of perpetual existence. So the Lord gave these varieties of teaching. And then at the end, he told Arjuna, just give up all religions, just surrender unto me. And then he said, you will come to me, and this is my guarantee. You surrender unto me, you come to me. This is my guarantee. So this is what is being explained in this this comparison that is there. That when there is when the moon appear in the evening, it gives like a shooting bomb. It gives you one complete relief from all the afflictions that has been there in the daytime. All this affliction goes away. Now, there is the Srila Jiva Goswami also said, in this connection, they say the moon is distinguished in the matter of taking away that sort of affliction of those who lead a worldly life. So knowledge of the soul is distinguished in the matter of taking away that sort of affliction of those who have a spiritual life. So which means if you have a spiritual life, then the knowledge of the affliction of the material world will basically evaporate, because we won't become spiritually minded. Then, because the hankering for this world will no longer be there. Because why do we suffer? Why do we experience misery in the material world? It's not because of the hankering for the materialistic, success or whatever. So the hankering causes afflictions. But when the need for the hankering is no more there, and one become attracted to spiritual nature, to understand oneself as an eternal servant of God, of Kṛṣṇa, then the affliction it goes away. So Jiva Goswami said, only Mukunda is distinguished in the matter of taking away that sort of affliction. Now, there's another affliction which is also mentioned here, because this verse 32 is talking of two types of afflictions. One affliction, or the trouble, pain, which is caused by one's existence in the material world, and another kind of affliction is that suffering by which the Brajavasis, especially the gopis, which they are experiencing when they don't see Kṛṣṇa. When they don't see Kṛṣṇa, because after all, Kṛṣṇa is the object of eye. It's the object of one's eye. And if one does not see Kṛṣṇa even for a moment, it's one becomes so much overcome by afflictions, the feelings of separation. Even the gopis, they were even accusing Lord Brahma, that Lord Brahma, you've created this eye, and this eye, you created the eyelid, and the eyelid sometimes it blinks. After all, the eyelid blinks anyway. And when there's this blinking of the eye, it prevents us from seeing Kṛṣṇa continuously. From continuously seeing Kṛṣṇa prevent us. So therefore the gopis, they were chastising Lord Brahma that you are such an incompetent creator. What kind of creator are you? That you cannot make such a perfect eye. Because we are unable to see Kṛṣṇa continuously. So therefore the gopis, they are chastising Lord Brahma. So this separation of Kṛṣṇa, it's so very intense. Like Mahaprabhu said, Yugayitam nimesena, Chakshusa Prabhishayitam, Sunyayitam Jagat Saban, Govinda Vira Ename. My Lord, feeling your separation, I feel a moment to be like 12 years. Actually, he said Yuga Yitam nimesena, not just 12 years, I don't know how we translated that, but it feel like a yuga. A moment of separation from Kṛṣṇa, it feel like a yuga. This is what my Prabhu was describing in the Shastakam. So the gopis, they cannot, so the whole day is like when Kṛṣṇa had gone to the forest with his friends and he's tending the cow, so it's like a big surface, like Vrindavan become devoid of life, because Kṛṣṇa has gone to the forest with the cows. So the Brajavasi, headed by the gopis, it's like become devoid of life. And of course, Kṛṣṇa knows this. So therefore, Kṛṣṇa returned in the evening time. He returned with all his cows. And the moment they hear, the moment they see the dust in the sky, the Brajavasis see this dust, they know, oh, Kṛṣṇa is returning to Vrindavan. They see the dust and they hear Kṛṣṇa's flute. So the life returns back to the Bhajabhasa. The life comes back to them. And everyone become very, very joyful. Everyone becomes very, very alive. And of course, the gopis, they know that, yes, now in nighttime, we're going to be able to dance with Kṛṣṇa. So that in nighttime, when Kṛṣṇa he is in the forest, he plays his flute. At the moment he plays his flute, the gopis, wherever they are, they just come out of their house to go and meet Kṛṣṇa is in the forest. When we reach the chapter which begins from chapter 29, this describes all these very, very intimate pastimes of Kṛṣṇa, very, very intimately. But of course, in our situation, we cannot really, rush into it. Actually, like Purport has mentioned in this in the commentary here, he said that the method of worship of Kṛṣṇa is that method which is shown by the gopis of Vrindavan. That method of worshiping Kṛṣṇa. What is their method? Is that of intense love and feeling towards Kṛṣṇa. Because it's love only that attracts Kṛṣṇa. It mentioned in the Bhakti-yoga Sindhu, there are 6 qualities of devotional service, which is described. 6 characteristics of devotional service. So it's mentioned Kleshagni, Subhada, Mokshala, Gukrit, Sudulabha, Sandrananda, Visheshatma, Sri Kṛṣṇa, Kashni, Jasa, that the unique characteristics of bhakti are its ability to destroy suffering. So with the appearance of bhakti, all suffering goes away. So we are describing today now that when the moon comes, at night, then all the affliction which has been caused by the hot sun, that goes away because one feels such cooling effect. So that affliction goes away. So therefore, when one enters bhakti, the first characteristic is that all the suffering is destroyed. All the suffering is destroyed. And then Subhada means is the bestower of auspiciousness. Everything becomes very auspicious when one enters bhakti. And then there is a disregard for liberation. Mokshala Gukrit. Disregard for liberation. There is one verse by Bhagavad Thakur. He said that since I become your servant, he said, since I become your servant, there are 4 types of goal of life, materialistic life: karma, artha, dhamma, moksha. He said these 4 goals, they become just like a maid servant waiting to serve me, but I have no regard for them. So Bhagavad Gita is saying this. And then Sudulabha, very rarely attained. Sudulabha, bhakti is very rarely attained. Even Kṛṣṇa said, it's a Sam Mahatma Sudulabha. Kṛṣṇa said that to attain me is very difficult. Why is it bhakti so difficult to attain? Why? Because Kṛṣṇa gives himself to his devotees. He gives himself. Kṛṣṇa becomes the object of his devotees' plaything. He gives himself to his devotee. So therefore, and because Kṛṣṇa gives himself to his devotee, it's not easy to really attain that rare thing. It's not that easy. It's as Kṛṣṇa said. Sachya said, it's very rarely attained. Very rarely attained. On the attainment of bhakti, there is a manifestation of concentrated bliss. They become, Sandrananda Vishishatma is become such a deep bliss that is there. And its ability to attract Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa attracts everyone, but bhakti attracts Kṛṣṇa himself. So, And of course, it's mentioned here the manifestation of concentrated bliss, but at the same time, devotees, they are not swayed by that. When they are very, very happy, there's so much bliss when they are rendering devotional service to Kṛṣṇa, but sometimes they chastise that level of blissfulness, they chastise it. Because if a devotee is following Kṛṣṇa, and so much ecstasy, so much bhav is coming, so that bhav that is coming, that may prevent the service. That may prevent the service of following Kṛṣṇa, because one is following Kṛṣṇa for Kṛṣṇa's enjoyment, not that one renders service to Kṛṣṇa so that one can get one's own bliss. No, our point of service is to give enjoyment to Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa nanu silana. Or it is meant to give enjoyment to Kṛṣṇa only. So devotee does not like to relish any kind of bliss or satisfaction when it's ready service to Kṛṣṇa. Simply want to serve Kṛṣṇa only. So this is what is being described here, that the gopis, when Kṛṣṇa is coming at night, they feel very, very relieved that yes, Kṛṣṇa is here, and now we can associate with Kṛṣṇa again. Now, towards the end of his commentary, Srila Prabhupada said that because the love of the gopis is so great that Kṛṣṇa himself, he feel indebted to the gopis. He feel indebted to the gopis. Therefore, Kṛṣṇa says that your love for me is so great that I cannot repay you. So therefore, let your own love, let your own service be your own payment, because I cannot repay you. So therefore, Kṛṣṇa become indebted, and that's one of the reasons why he comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's why he comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because in order to understand what is the love of the gopis, what is the feeling, what experience they are getting, and what is the main attraction by which the gopis they have towards him. So Lord Kṛṣṇa came. Lord Kṛṣṇa wanted to know. He became greedy, so he wanted to know. Therefore, he came as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just to be able to have this understanding. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada said that yes, we have to come to that level of, that level of worship. Of course, it's not easy, but the possibility is there when we follow another devotee of Kṛṣṇa. So therefore, there's a point of anugatya. Anugatya means becoming a follower. We become a follower of a devotee of Kṛṣṇa, anugatya. Just like we sing every morning the Tosi prayer. Seva Adikaradiye Koronija Dasi, that let me become a follower of a dear devotee of Kṛṣṇa. So we pray for that every morning. So therefore, we don't aspire to serve Kṛṣṇa directly, but our aspiration is to serve, to be a servant of a devotee of Kṛṣṇa, and that will be our perfection. So much teaching is there in this two purport which Srila Prabhupada gave. We can actually spend time discussing it. It's this chapter is such a wonderful chapter, and we can the description of the autumn, the rainy season, whereby it's talking about how we can prepare our consciousness. It talks about the sky. Kham nirmeghaṁ śarad-vimala-tārakam sattva-yuktaṁ yathā cittaṁ śabda-brahmā-darśanam. Actually, the last line of this verse, sattva-brahmārtha-darśanam. So the acharyas, they actually give so many wonderful commentaries on this particular line in their commentaries. So it said that free of clouds and filled with clearly visible stars, the autumn sky shone brilliantly, just like the spiritual consciousness of one who has directly experienced the purport of the Vedic scriptures. So the autumn sky, so the sky is compared to one consciousness. Now, the cloud, what is the cloud? So the cloud has been compared to the Raja and Tama. So which means as long as there is the presence of Raja and Tama, then the consciousness cannot really manifest itself. And the consciousness is supposed to be Kṛṣṇa consciousness. But when there is the complete clearance of Raja and Tama, what remains is Sattva-gun, the clear picture, the Sattva-gun. And with that Sattva-gun, when one is situated in the Sattva-gun, the consciousness is very, very clear. There is no hindrance, there is no tamas, there is no rajas. Then it's possible for one to cultivate Kṛṣṇa consciousness, spiritual life, to cultivate Kṛṣṇa consciousness, and in that cultivation, there is no disturbance in the Susukan Kato Abhyayam. There is always, bliss, no problems, no more feelings of the problem of this material world. So anyway, I'm going to stop here. If there is any question or comment, you can maybe what, Prabhuji, you can make a commentary. So I just read the two texts again. Actually, the last one. Kham nirmeghaṁ śarad-vimala-tārakam sattva-yuktaṁ yathā cittaṁ śabda-brahmārtha-darśanam, free of clouds and filled with clearly visible stars, the autumn sky shone brilliantly, just like the spiritual consciousness of one who has directly experienced the purport of the Vedic scriptures. So Hare Krishna. Any question? Okay, this Mataji at the back there.
Hare Krishna, Ruchi, thank you so much for the lecture. My question is that, as you explained, the 6 characteristics of devotional service. First is the Klesha-Agni. Klesha-Agni is that you said that miseries will go away. And as we read in the Bhagavad-Gita, this is Mukhalayam Nash Aśobhata, Kṛṣṇa himself says this. So, if we go into and try to understand this, and this is like the person who performs pure devotional service, he becomes transient to the problems. Problems will come, but that will not affect that person. So it seems like very contradictory to me. Like this is Mukhalayam Shashvata, problems will come definitely. We see that even to the pure devotees. Problems come, but that problem doesn't touch. So and problem miseries goes away. So can you please explain?
So normally when we talk of bhakti, we talk of bhakti actually means pure bhakti. Bhakti doesn't mean that one is struggling with the senses and trying to render devotional service. Bhakti actually begins at the point of Shakti. Shakti means one become very attached to Kṛṣṇa and then start rendering devotional service to Kṛṣṇa. And everything that one does is enter love. Of course, in the beginning stage, especially in the neophyte stage, because one is still very attached to this material body in the neophyte stage. So it's difficult to experience that relief from the tapattraya, the misery of materialistic existence because of the attachment to the material body. But when one attachment goes away and then one actually enters into the devotional service, into bhakti, then all these 6 things will manifest. Klesha-Agni, Subhada, and all these things will manifest. But we're having problems because of our attachment. So we are experiencing troubles of life because of our attachment to the material body. So that's why it's always said that yes, we should associate with advanced devotees. The pure devotees, do not experience misery. Now, it doesn't mean that they don't get afflicted by materialistic problem. I mean, they also get sick, but they're not attached to it. I think there's one time, I mentioned that one time, devotees, they saw Prabhupada kind of looking morose or something, looking morose. So devotee asked Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, why are you looking unhappy? So Prabhupada replied that you don't know what is spiritual bliss. You don't know what is bliss. So do you think that I'm looking unhappy? Because we can, in our neophyte state, we can never understand the mentality of pure devotees. You know, and the more, if you try to speculate, then we just run ourselves into more trouble. You know. So therefore, a devotee is advised to become humble, to become like that. So, is that okay?
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. Grantura Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.